Hello everyone and welcome back to Cute Crochet. My name is Sri and in today's video I am going to show you how to crochet these adorable mushroom amigurumis. These are super easy to make and perfect for beginners. You can also fidget with it by popping the cap up and down. They are a great size for a keychain. To make these you will need red yarn for the mushroom cap, white for the spots, some tan yarn for the gills and the stem, and some black yarn to embroider the facial features. You'll need some stuffing to stuff the stem. You'll need some safety eyes or black beads. To turn these into keychains, you'll need a blank keyring. And for tools, you're going to need a crochet hook, a yarn needle, something to use as a stitch marker, and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. I'm going to start with this red yarn for the cap. This is a 4-ply yarn and with it I'm going to use a 3mm crochet hook, which is a couple of sizes smaller than what is recommended for this yarn. It's actually recommended to use a 4mm hook with this. We do this so that our stitches are nice and tight and none of the stuffing shows through. We are going to start by making a magic circle. To do that, wrap your yarn up and over your finger like so, forming a cross in the front. Then insert your hook underneath the cross. Take the yarn from the other side and pull through. Then again yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Now remove this loop from your finger and this is the magic circle that we are going to work into. Start by making a chain 1. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Then we are going to make 6 single crochets into the magic circle. To make a single crochet, insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. You will have 2 loops on your hook like this. Yarn over and pull through the 2 loops and that finishes 1 single crochet. Let's do it again. Insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Now we are going to make 4 more single crochets like this for a total of 6 single crochets. After you finish making 6 single crochets, you can pull on this tail to cinch the magic circle completely closed, and this brings us to the end of round 1. At the end of round 1, we have 6 single crochets. This amigurumi is going to be worked in continuous rounds, so we need to mark the last stitch of the round. For that I am using a paper clip here, but you can use anything. You can use a yarn in a different color or you can also get proper stitch markers. Round 2 is an increase round. For this round we are going to increase in each stitch all the way around. An increase is simply placing 2 single crochets into one stitch. So go into that first single crochet and make 1 single crochet. Then make 1 more single crochet into that same stitch and that is our increase stitch. Again into the next stitch place 2 single crochets. Now into the remaining 4 stitches of the round, make increases, that is 2 single crochets into the same stitch. When you reach the last stitch of the round, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into that stitch as well. This brings us to the end of round 2. At the end of round 2, you will have 12 single crochets. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. For round 3, make 1 single crochet into the first 3 stitches. Then into the 4th stitch, increase. Again, one single crochet into the next 3 stitches. In the next stitch, increase. We are going to repeat this sequence one more time. One single crochet into the next 3 stitches and then remove the stitch marker and increase in the last stitch. This brings us to the end of round 3. At the end of round 3, you will have 15 single crochets. Go ahead and mark the last stitch. For round 4, make one single crochet into the first 4 stitches. Then into the 5th stitch, increase. Again, one single crochet into the next 4 stitches. Then in the next stitch, increase. We are going to repeat this sequence one more time. One single crochet into the next 4 stitches and then increase into the last stitch. This brings us to the end of round 4. At the end of round 4, you will have 18 single crochets. For round 5, make one single crochet into the first 2 stitches. Then into the 3rd stitch, increase. Again, one single crochet into the next 2 stitches. In the next stitch, increase. We are going to repeat this sequence 4 more times, so a total of 6 times. One single crochet into the next 2 stitches and then increase. Here I am making an increased stitch in the last stitch, and this brings us to the end of round 5. At the end of round 5, you will have 24 single crochets. Round 5 was our last increase round. For round 6 and 7, we are going to make one single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 24. I am going to finish making these 2 rounds and then I am going to meet back up with you. Here I finished picking up to round 7. This was the last round for the mushroom cap. So I am going to cut the excess red yarn and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail for weaving in. I have marked where I want all of the white spots to go with some pins, and I am going to embroider them using the French knot technique with some white yarn and my yarn needle. Start by removing one of the pins and then come in through that point from the back. Don't pull the yarn all the way through, leave a little bit hanging at the back. Then wrap the base of the yarn on your yarn needle a couple of times like so. Then go back down the same hole and then out where you want to embroider the next spot. Gently wiggle your yarn needle through and this will create a nice circular knot. Remove that next pin and make a French knot there as well. Wrap the base of the yarn a couple of times on the yarn needle. Then go back down the same hole and out where the next pin is. The spots all don't need to be completely even. You can vary their sizes by wrapping the yarn twice or thrice. I'm going to finish embroidering all of the spots like this. After you've finished embroidering all of the spots, tie a knot with the two white yarn tails at the back to secure the embroidery. Then simply tuck the yarn tails into the cap. Next, I am going to make the gills of the mushroom. These are going to be worked into the back loops only. If you look at the stitch carefully, they have a front loop and a back loop. We are going to only work into the back loops. First, I am going to bring this yarn tail to the back to make it easier to work over. Come in from the back under the back loop only and then pull this yarn tail through. For the gills, we are going to do 2 double crochets together all the way around. Bring in your tan color yarn and start by making a slip knot. To make the first 2 double crochets together, we need to yarn over once like so. Then hold these 2 loops in place and insert your hook into the back loop of that first stitch. Yarn over and pull up a loop. You will have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops on your hook only. There will be 2 loops remaining on your hook. Again yarn over. Then go into the back loop of the next stitch and pull up a loop. Now you will have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops on your hook. Then with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops at the same time. This is the first 2 double crochets together. Again yarn over. Go into the back loop of the next stitch and pull up a loop. You will have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2. Again yarn over. Go into the back loop of the next stitch and pull up a loop. 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2. Then yarn over and pull through all 3. We are going to make 2 double crochets together like this all the way around. Here I finished making 2 double crochets together all the way around. You will have 12 stitches in the end. Then I am going to slip stitch into the back loop of that first stitch to join, and this brings us to the end of round 1. Round 2 is also going to be worked in the back loops only. We are going to decrease in every stitch all the way around. First, go into the back loop of that first stitch where we just slip stitched. Then twist your hook around and go into the back loop of the next stitch. Then yarn over and pull up a loop through the first 2 loops on your hook. Then make a single crochet like normal. And this is our invisible decrease stitch made in the back loops. Again go into the back loop of the next stitch. Then twist your hook around and go into the back loop of the next stitch after that. Yarn over and pull up a loop. Then make a single crochet. We will continue to decrease like this in the back loops of every stitch all the way around. I am going to finish this and meet back up with you. Here I am at the end of round 2. You will have 6 stitches around. Now I am going to cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail to sew up the opening. Take that yarn tail on a yarn needle and we are going to sew up the hole with it. There will be 7 stitches all the way around, including that first slip stitch that we made. Weave this yarn tail in and out through the front loops of all of the stitches. Then when you pull on this yarn tail, it will close up the hole nicely. Using your yarn needle, go down the middle of that hole and then out near the gills and leave that yarn tail hanging there for now. Next, I am going to make the stem of the mushroom. For that, I am going to work in these 12 front loops that we left. Bring in the same tan yarn that we used for the gills and start by making a slip knot. Hold the mushroom cap upside down and then go into that first front loop and make a single crochet into it. We are going to make one single crochet into each of the front loops all the way around. Here I've made a single crochet into each of the 12 front loops and this brings us to the end of round 1. At the end of round 1 you will have 12 single crochets. This stem is again going to be worked in continuous rounds, so we need to mark the last stitch of the round. For round 2 we are going to make one single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 12. Here I'm at the end of round 2. Make one single crochet into the last stitch and then replace the stitch marker. For round 3, make one single crochet into the first 3 stitches. Then into the 4th stitch increase. Again one single crochet into the next 3 stitches. In the next stitch increase. We are going to repeat this sequence one more time. One single crochet into the next 3 stitches and then remove the stitch marker and increase in the last stitch. This brings us to the end of round 3. At the end of round 3 you will have 15 single crochets. Go ahead and mark the last stitch. For round 4 we are going to make one single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 15. Here I am at the end of round 4. For round 5, make 1 single crochet into the first 4 stitches. Then into the 5th stitch, increase. Again 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. Then in the next stitch, increase. We are going to repeat this sequence one more time. 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches and then increase into the last stitch. This brings us to the end of round 5. At the end of round 5, you will have 18 single crochets. For round 6, we are going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 18. Here I am at the end of round 6. At this point, I am going to place the eyes of the amigurumi. Here I am using flat back white pearls that I painted with black nail polish, and I am going to stick them on using some fabric glue. Place the eyes in between rounds 4 and 5, 2 stitches apart. However, I do not recommend gluing on the eyes in case you are making this for a child. These eyes can come off and become choking hazards. In that case, I would recommend either using safety eyes or embroidering the eyes. To embroider the eyes, you can use the same French knot technique that I used to embroider the spots on the mushroom cap. In all the cases, the placement of the eyes will be the same. From round 7, we are going to start decreasing. Start by making 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Then into the next 2 stitches, we are going to make an invisible decrease. But this time, we are going to go under the front loops only. Again 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Then into the next 2 stitches, invisible decrease. We are going to repeat this sequence 4 more times. 1 single crochet and invisible decrease. Here I am almost at the end of round 7. Remove the stitch marker and make an invisible decrease into the last 2 stitches. And this brings us to the end of round 7. At the end of round 7, you will have 12 single crochets. At this point, I am going to stuff the stem. For round 8, we are going to decrease into each stitch all the way around. I like to keep a finger on top of the stuffing to keep it out of the way. At the end of round 8, you will have 6 single crochet stitches. Cut the excess yarn, leaving a long enough tail for sewing, and then fasten off. Then to close up the hole, I am going to weave this tail in and out through the front loops of all of the stitches of this round. Then when you pull on this tail, it should close up the hole nicely. With the help of a yarn needle, bring that tail through the center of the hole and out through the back of the amigurumi. Then take the other longer yarn tail on your yarn needle. Bring that yarn tail in through the stem and then out through the same hole as the previous yarn tail. We are going to tie a knot with these two yarn tails. Then cut the excess yarn and hide the knot into the body by pushing it and using the back of your yarn needle. We are going to repeat the same thing with the remaining two yarn tails. However, in my case they are way too short to use a yarn needle, so here I am using a smaller crochet hook instead. Next, I am going to embroider a smile on top of round 5. For that, I have separated one ply from my 4 ply black yarn. Come in through the back of the amigurumi and out in between the two eyes in between rounds 4 and 5. Don't pull the yarn all the way through, leave a little bit hanging at the back. Then make a straight across stitch 1 stitch wide and then tack it down in the middle through rounds 5 and 6 to form the shape of a smile. Come out through the same hole that we came in. Then to secure the embroidery, tie a knot using these two yarn tails. Then cut the excess yarn and hide the knot into the body by pushing it in using the back of your yarn needle. Then you can fiddle around with the shape of the smile a little bit until you're happy with it. I added a little blush to the cheeks with some pink chalk. Then to add the keychain, I am first looping the jump ring of the keychain to the top of the cap like so. Then I am adding the keychain and then closing up the jump ring with the help of a pair of pliers. And that's it. I hope you guys like this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.